I'll be home soon once I get the bus.
We don't want you. We want what is inside you.
On a cold rainy night, Ngozi thought she was just getting her ride home. But the yellow bus she boarded had no destination on the map, only a one-way trip into a nightmare. It was a cold, wet night in Alumon. The rain had been falling all evening, drumming heavily on the rusted roofs. At the bus stop, a handful of tired passengers huddled under a leaking shelter, their eyes fixed on the road. Among them was Ngozi, a 29-year-old nurse. Her white uniform was hidden beneath a faded raincoat, and her tired eyes darted between the speeding cars. She had just finished her exhausting night shift at the hospital. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was her husband, Chike. "Ngozi, where are you?" His deep voice asked with worry. "Still waiting for a bus. It's been over an hour. Once I get one, I'll be home," she replied, glancing at the rainwater trickling into the gutter. She glanced at her watch, almost 10 p.m., and thought about Chike's voice worry over the phone earlier. Then, like a slow shadow emerging from the night, a faded yellow bus rattled towards her. The driver leaned out, his face half hidden under a cap, and waved. Akpotu Road," he called. She hesitated for a moment, but the rain was merciless. She climbed in. Inside, only a few passengers sat scattered. Two men whispered in the back, a woman in the corner with a baby strapped to her back, and the driver, whose eyes lingered too long in the rearview mirror. The bus pulled away, its wipers squeaking across the cracked windscreen. Ngozi tried not to stare, but something felt off. The air smelled faintly of engine oil and something metallic that she couldn't place. She texted her husband, "Finally got a bus. I will be home soon." The bus groaned forward, its engine rumbling like an angry beast. Rain streaked down the windows, blurring outside the world. Halfway through the journey, Ngozi noticed the baby on the woman's back wasn't moving. No gentle rise and fall. No muffled sounds. Only a still bundle. Her nurse's instinct kicked in. She leaned forward slightly for a better look. A strange shape protruded under the fabric. It wasn't a baby. It was clothes and something heavy wrapped inside. The woman's eyes caught hers, and in that moment, there was no warmth in them, only a flat cold warning. Meanwhile, at home, Chike set the table. 2 plates, a steaming pot of vegetable soup. He kept glancing at the clock, tapping his foot. Ngozi was never this late after sending a coming home text. He tried calling her again. No answer. A strange unease crept into his stomach. Minutes passed. The rain outside grew heavier, hammering against the roof. Chike frowned, moved to the window, and peered into the wet darkness, but he could not see his wife coming. When the minutes stretched into nearly an hour, a strange heaviness settled in his chest. Not fear exactly, but an unshakable sense that something was wrong. He stepped out into the rain without an umbrella, scanning the road again, letting the cold soak through his shirt. But he still could not see his wife coming. Back in the bus, Ngozi's heart began to race. The bus suddenly swept off the main road. Ngozi sat up. The road they took wasn't the usual route. The streets grew darker, more deserted, with tall trees closing in. "Oga, this is not the way to Apoto," Ngozi shouted. "I dey pass shortcut," the driver said. The other passengers didn't react. The 2 young men at the back shifted seats, now sitting closer to her. The driver's eyes met hers in the rearview mirror. After about 5 minutes, the bus stopped abruptly. The woman with the baby bundle stood up first. Then one of the men pulled out a knife. "Oya, calm down quietly. No noise." Ngozi's voice trembled. "Please take my bag. Take everything. Just let me go." The driver gave a mocking smile. "We don't want your bag. What we want is inside you." They were in front of a dimly lit warehouse. Ngozi was dragged into the old rusted warehouse. The metallic smell she noticed earlier was stronger here. It was overwhelming. In the dim light, she saw tables covered with surgical tools, plastic sheets, and human organs in a tray. She realized the truth. They weren't ordinary criminals. They were organ harvesters. Please, please don't. But they didn't listen. The last thing she felt was the cold pierce of a needle before everything went black. Ngozi never made it home that night. Back home, Emeka paced their small living room, glancing at the wall clock every minute. Ngozi should have been home hours ago. He called her phone, but it rang endlessly. By midnight, the rain had stopped, but the night was still heavy. In the small bedroom, Chike sat at the edge of their bed, staring at the untouched pillow where Ngozi should have been. The clock on the wall ticked like a hammer in his head. He replayed their last conversation over and over again, a soft voice saying she had finally found the boss. But now, silence, only the sound of the clock, and his own heartbeat filled the room. He picked up his phone and called her again, but her phone was now switched off. Chike could no longer sit still. He grabbed his jacket and went to the police station. His voice trembled as he explained to the police officer that his wife Ngozi had not returned home after work. He slammed his palms on the counter. My wife, she's missing. She told me she got the bus, and now I can't reach her. The officer looked up slowly, eyes narrowing. Are you sure she boarded a bus? Chike nodded, gripping Ngozi's photo like a lifeline. The officers wrote something in a book, then called in 2 detectives. By morning, the police and Chike visited the motor park where Ngozi had boarded a bus the previous night. At first, everyone claimed to know nothing, but an older woman selling groundnuts leaned in when Chike showed her Ngozi's picture. Her lips trembled. I saw her. That night, she entered a yellow bus. Yeah, and the bus zoomed off. During the interviews, the police found another witness, a mechanic who owns a shop by the roadside. He was under a shed that night. He recalled seeing Ngozi enter the same yellow bus. He further stated that this yellow bus comes to pick up passengers at the bus stop on few occasions, as it was not among the registered buses at the park. That same morning, Baba Ibeji, local farmer, walked through the muddy paths leading to his farm. His cutlass swung lazily in his right hand, and the smell of damp soil filled the air. Halfway down the bush path, his eyes caught something unusual by the roadside. A laminated card, splattered with dried dark red stains. He bent down slowly, picked it up, and squinted at the name. Ngozi Chike, registered nurse. He frowned. The blood stains, the slight tear in the plastic cover, the dampness. Something about it made his chest tighten. This wasn't just a lost card. Something terrible had happened. Without hesitation, Baba Ibeji turned around and headed back towards the main road. By the time he got to the police station, his heart was pounding. He handed the card over to the duty officer, his voice shaking. Oga Police, I found this in the bush. The officer's eyes narrowed. He knew the name. The clue they had been praying for had finally arrived. While Ngozi had struggled with a gang the previous night, her hospital ID card, pinned beneath her shirt, snapped off and fell to the muddy ground, unnoticed by anyone. Blood from a small cut on her forehead had smeared across the card. The ID card was like a key in the locked door. The investigation had been slow, crawling, but now the gears began to turn. They had a name, a face, and a location to start from. And somewhere in the rain-washed streets of the city, our killers were still out there. Inspector Danjuma, a seasoned officer with eyes that missed nothing, called in his team. Baba Ibeji, show us exactly where you found us, he said firmly. Within an hour, 2 patrol vans rolled into the narrow paths, following the farmer's lead. The trees loomed over them, branches swaying in the wind. They walked with their torches sweeping across the bush, scanning every inch. Suddenly, Baba Ibeji pointed at it. Na here, Inspector. Na here I pick am from. They scanned the ground, a few feet from where the ID card was found. An odd trail of footprints led deeper into the bush. The prints were messy, as if someone had struggled and then dragged marks. The officer's hand hovered near his rifle. Let's follow it. They followed the trail, weapons ready. The trail ended at what seemed like an abandoned compound. The sign outside read, "Storage Facility. Authorized entry only." But something about it felt wrong. The officers noticed fresh tire marks on the wet ground and faint muffled sounds coming from inside. The air smelled of antiseptic mixed with decay. Inspector Danjuma signaled for silence. Slowly, they surrounded the building. They found a rusted metal door at the back. One of the officers tried the handle. It was locked from within. Two officers kicked the side door open. The door flew open with a metallic screech. The stench hit them first. A foul mix of sweat, rot, and fear. Inside, the dim light revealed crude wooden tables, ropes, and sacks piled high against the wall. Near a corner, several handbags, shoes, and personal belongings lay scattered, some old, some fresh, and there, hanging from a nail, was Ngozi's handbag, the same one her husband had described at the station. A wave of silence fell over the team. Before the officers could search further, a quick echoed from a side door. Two men stepped in, their eyes widening at the sight of police rifles aimed at them. One tried to run, but was tackled to the ground. The officers stormed through the rest of the building, dragging out 4 more men. In one corner, they found ropes stained with blood, confirming the worst fears. The officers pressed deeper into the building and discovered a false wall behind a rack of crates. It led to another room, this one brighter with white tiles and hospital beds. There, huddled together in shock, were 4 men and 1 woman. The gang, the same woman Ngozi had seen on the bus, the one who pretended to be carrying a baby. The officers moved quickly. On the ground now, Inspector Danjuma's voice thundered through the room. Within minutes, the gang was in handcuffs. The cold walls of the interrogation room seemed to press in on the suspects. The fluorescent lights above flickered, throwing shaky shadows over their nervous faces. The lead investigator leaned forward, his voice slow but firm. "You think keeping quiet will save you? It's over. We have everything we need." At first, the men shifted uncomfortably, glancing at each other. Then slowly, the truth came out. They admitted they were part of a large organ harvesting gang, hiding under the cover of a legal business. The warehouse wasn't for storage. It was a place of death. Victims were tricked, tied up, and never seen again. Ngozi had been one of them. When Chike got the news, he sat frozen, the phone shaking in his hand. The world around him seemed to fade. Tears filled his eyes, not just because of the loss, but because of the pain Ngozi had gone through before her death. He finally had answers, but a hurt more than he could bear. A week later, the courthouse was filled with tension. The gang sat in the dock, avoiding the angry eyes of the crowd. The judge's gavel struck loudly, demanding silence. The prosecution moved quickly, showing the evidence. Ngozi's handbag found in the warehouse, a blood-stained ID card with fingerprints on it, and surgical tools that still smelled of chemicals and blood. Gasps and murmurs filled the room as each piece was shown. When the verdict came, guilty on all counts, the courtroom erupted. Some people cried, others sighed in relief. The gang was taken away in chains. Outside, a cool wind blew, carrying the smell of coming rain. Emeka stood still, tears running down his face, looking up at the grey clouds. He whispered, "Rest now, my love. They will never hurt anyone again." The story of Ngozi teaches us that trusting your instincts can save your life. That uneasy feeling you ignore might be the only warning you get. It teaches us that evil often hides behind kind faces and gentle voices, and that every small detail matters. It reminds us to value safety over convenience, because sometimes one cautious decision is the difference between life and death. If Ngozi's story touched you, don't let it end here. Share this video so our warning can save someone else. And if you believe every victim deserves justice, click subscribe and join me as we uncover more true stories the world needs to hear.